are just over 1 month into tax season and have heard from many of you about rejections and questions that you have, especially with the loss from Hurricane Helene. I'm 7 News consumer anchor Diane Lee with tax return tips from the experts.
We were right here. The sidewalk continued to all the beautiful shops, and now it's just a pile of rocks.
There's no overstating it when people like Sandy Godsick
Our sign is down there.
share the utter heartache
Oh my goodness, I can't believe our little sign is all crumpled up down there.
of a way of life destroyed by Helene.
Oh, this is heartbreaking. This is where we were, next to the old Rock Cafe, and of course, that's the hole where it used to be.
Godsick's family business, Coffee on the Rocks, plunged into the Broad River last September, and like many in the area, Godsick's insurance doesn't cover most of the loss.
It had wonderful coverage, but at the very top, it said we don't cover floods. And that made our hearts sink.
As hurricane victims wait to find out if they'll get help from FEMA, there's another ray of hope that could offer some assistance: a tax break. The Casualties and Thefts form allows you to claim the loss on your tax return. Dan Thomas, an IRS enrolled agent with Jackson Hewitt, says any damage that neither insurance nor FEMA covers, including the cost of removing downed trees, is fair game. Can you only get a tax deduction if you itemize?
Right, you must itemize. The casualty loss is part of the itemized deductions, which will reduce your taxable income and hopefully be able to get you a refund.
That means it only makes sense to claim the loss if the amount exceeds the standard deduction once you add in other itemized expenses like mortgage insurance, car tax, and charitable donations. For married filing jointly, that's $29,200. Now, anyone in the federally declared disaster zone can get an extension till October 15th, but you have to file that by April 15th with both the state and the federal government.
We'll have to have an extension and work it all out because it's an immense loss.
On the other hand, if you file soon hoping to get a quick refund, be forewarned. There are two major factors holding up returns this year. The first is a failure to submit an identity protection PIN on your return if you're a victim of ID theft.
People didn't realize that their identity had been breached. The IRS doesn't tell you until you go to file a tax return.
Thomas says another major holdup is returns that lack necessary Affordable Care Act data for people who get health care through the federal marketplace. 7 News reported how last year began a disturbing trend of some taxpayers not knowing they were even signed up.
Insurance agents were writing these policies fraudulently.
Is that happening this year as well?
Oh, God. This year's twice to 3 times as much as what it's ever been.
Finally, taxpayers who made $84,000 or less in 2024 are eligible for IRS free file. But if your return is complicated like Godsick's, getting expert help could lead to a larger refund.
We should be able to get something back. That's encouraging. I'm really happy to hear that.
Now, one more thing to keep in mind: if you have a side hustle like selling on eBay or Facebook Marketplace and your sales total more than $600, you may get a form that you have to report on your return. But if you're simply selling personal items at a loss, make note of that, since that's generally not taxable.